What's up, y'all? Welcome into today's Forte Flashback. This is our series where we are looking back on moments from the show that happened quite some time ago, but still have their ripple effects on our current show today. We know that a lot of times people have, started listening to the show in the last few weeks, last few months, last couple of years, and didn't get some of these early amazing moments in the show. So we are doing this series, flashing back, looking back at old moments, and we've started that series off by looking at the first time our five co-hosts came on as a guest. So today is the one and only Liv Harrison, and you guys know Liv drives me crazy. And it started from the beginning. This is her appearance way back on episode 128. That was on March 27th of 2019, so over 2 years ago, when she came on as a guest. Now, this is an extra special episode, not only because Liv is extra in everything that she does, but also because this is the first flashback we have done, the first appearance by a co-host on the show after we installed having co-hosts. So Allison Sullivan is the co-host in this episode. Liv Harrison drove in. This was back when we were recording in the radio station, and it was the three of us together. So you can only imagine what is about to happen. So without further ado, I'm going to let it happen. If you like today's flashback, make sure that you hit subscribe, whether you are watching on YouTube, or hit that subscribe button wherever you are listening to podcasts. The bonus on YouTube is that there's a lot of this was before we were doing video, so there's not full video of this happening. We didn't even have a camera back then, but we're going to throw up some pictures of me, Liv, and Allison throughout the year. So we hope that you guys enjoy this. And it's a bit longer. Liv is long-winded, so we talked for about 30 minutes, and it covered 2 whole segments of the show. But whenever that is done, I'm going to come back and share a little bit more of my insights on how much things have changed and how much they have stayed the same. So make sure you stay tuned until the end. Enjoy. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. Take 2 of our second segment here today because my co-hosts refuse, all of them, across the board, refuse to not talk over the intro and outro music. So, to be honest, I don't even know when this is airing. This is a very special, very special, near and dear to our heart interview that we're doing here. It's in person. This is on, what is today? I don't even know what today is. Tuesday? It is a Tuesday morning, and we are here in the studio with maybe your co-hosts for the rest of the show today, maybe not. Allison Sullivan, how are you?
Hi, can I talk now?
You can talk now.
Hi, Taylor.
You are free to talk.
Rules are hard sometimes.
They really, really, really are. Allison, why are we here on a Tuesday morning when I probably should be at work?
Because our dear friend Liv Harrison is in town, and we needed to take full advantage of her joy and wisdom and sparkling personality.
Is she here yet?
Oh, I am. I'm here, and she read that exactly like I wrote it. Good job, Allison. Allison can read. That sounds good, right? That's why I'm here for joy and sparkleness.
Yep. I can deliver a good line.
You know what's funny? It's funny you bring that up because I'm getting tired of on the podcast, like me doing all of the reads for our sponsors and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have other people do some reads soon.
I want to do it.
Okay, we'll do.
Can I be your sponsor reader?
We'll do one right after this. Actually,
great. That's my dream.
That's your dream.
Yeah. So I want to make people buy paper towels.
What's going to be great is whenever you think a paper towel company. It's just because I look like the brawny man does not mean that I have paper towels.
Well, it was the flannel. I mean, your head. What? Go ahead.
Welcome to the Liv Harrison Show, everybody. Wait, Liv, is Allison allowed to talk on your podcast?
When I have a podcast, yes.
Yes.
I'm not going to have a podcast. Why would I? Everyone has one. So,
Yeah, those people are nerds.
Yeah. What losers. Who wakes up and says, I should have a podcast? Yeah, you guys. So,
us too.
Yeah, not me.
Us.
I haven't woken up yet, so I'm good. I guess I'll wait till the next thing. I like your podcast, though. You're already doing it. You're killing it. So what do I have to say? You guys are crushing it. When you start slipping, all right, maybe I'll come in. But you guys are amazing.
Allison and I are both looking at Liv while she says things like, what do I have to say? When she will not stop talking. But Allison
I thought it was my turn. I'm the guest. I drove here. All right, fine. Go ahead.
Allison and I are
go
both
ahead,
looking
Taylor.
at each other like we have things to
right.
say.
Go ahead.
Allison, what do you got over
I
there?
never have anything to say. I'm forced to say things. You force me to say things completely against my will.
Force a Catholic. We force everyone to say things they don't want
It's like
to.
Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah.
Okay, so the three of us are obviously having fun. We've been having fun for most of the morning.
Indeed.
Because, Liv, you went on Allison's podcast, which you don't think she should have for some reason.
Oh
you
my
should probably
gosh.
apologize.
I shouldn't have a podcast because you guys already have some. You're already doing the good work.
I heard you, Liv.
Thank you,
he's
Allison.
Twisting it all around.
I
I've
mean,
never once twisted anybody's words on this show. Never
since
once.
the moment I met you, which was basically 5 minutes ago. So it's been a long 5 minutes.
Our entire relationship of the last hour and a half is a lie.
I've been confused.
I've been very confused. Welcome to Forte Catholic.
I love
so are
it.
the listeners.
Cool.
It's fantastic. I want to tell a story real quick. You and I met, Liv, about a week and a half ago.
Yeah, literally.
yeah,
We're not being funny anymore. We're being serious.
You followed me on Instagram for quite some time because I'm really cool, but we finally met in
I
person.
think he followed me, but okay.
I followed first. Okay.
No, I don't know. It
So,
doesn't matter.
You definitely followed me first.
Okay, fine.
I don't know the story, but that's what the story we're going with.
Good,
I
like
literally
it.
don't know.
I like it.
It was probably
Less creepy on my end.
I've-
Sure.
I'm really sure that it was all because of me anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give that. Okay, fine.
I
We're
followed
Instagram
Allison
friends.
first.
We had not met in real life until a week and a half
Until
ago.
a week and a half ago, and we did at the Fullness of Truth conference because I was running the youth track, and you were the bubbly MC. What did you say? Bubbliness earlier? What was your word?
I said sparkle.
She
Sparkle-
did. She coined it.
sparkleness,
Again,
that's
it
what
was
it was.
Allison. I don't know why we keep taking credit for your work.
Well, it's par.
Well, Liv, as the host
Yeah.
of Sinner Saint Sister, how do you feel?
Well, I'm married to a doctor, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, wait, I mean-
so is Allison.
Oh,
That's
that
the
was
joke.
Allison.
Yes, the two
No,
of us.
Allison
got
is
that.
the one with the podcast and the married doctor. Got it. That's not me. I'm the chubby funny one. So there you go. Write it down.
No, I'm
Write
the
it
chubby
down.
funny one.
Well, then what the heck do I bring to the table?
I don't know. That's what we're here to find out.
Why am I here?
Of personality chemistry happening
man.
right here, you guys.
Good gracious.
I'm in the
Story.
middle of all of this. It's
You're off to the side, actually. We put you in the corner.
yeah, indeed.
Everyone puts Allison in the
Metaphorically.
corner.
She's the professional. All right, go ahead.
People.
Okay, so I've always been confused by this. Okay, we put you in a corner, but we also put you in a corner with a cough button that would be really good for you to use whenever you're like drinking water or
You
something.
insist on this cough button.
Right here. They
I
like
know.
it in radio.
They do like it.
I do a lot of radio.
I am telling you, he pushes that. He does.
Yeah.
He coughs so that he can push the button. He doesn't push the button so he can cough.
I'm
See?
terrified of the cough button.
I
I do a
am
lot, and I
too.
never
I'm like,
press it.
I don't
just don't
either.
cough. I swallow it.
Same.
You swallow that cough.
That's right.
How serious of a pro are you?
See, you're a wuss. is
Allison's
what's-
a pro.
What we're
we're here to
well,
take over
this
your
just
podcast.
got interesting.
you stifle that cough like everyone else.
No. I want this to go back to being Allison's fault. How did this
Okay.
happen?
Yeah, it's your fault.
Y'all
no.
No. Okay, so we met. We are getting to it being Allison's fault in just a second.
Okay.
Okay. So you and I met.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, hey, I'd love to have you on the show. And you were like, I'm actually coming in a week and a half to come be on Allison's podcast. So like, I'm coming into town. Let's go ahead and do the show then. I was like,
I
sweet.
said I'm hanging out with Allison. It was Allison Live Day, and you kind of, I think, like made your way into this. We're having a special day
So am I.
Now
It was going to
because
be.
we're sharing our day with you.
you elbowed
exactly.
your way into it.
A little bit.
I did.
Mansplained himself in there. No, it's fine. Go ahead.
It comes from a deep wound that you're all laughing at. In junior high, I was never invited to anything, so I have to continually
Is that
invite
true?
myself to things. Yes,
that true?
Are you
everything
just
I say is
saying
true.
it?
Why?
I was the tall, awkward white guy.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot of those.
Yes, and none of them
That
have
get
any
invited.
friends. No.
What? No? Not
No,
your story?
Not me. Not
Okay,
I.
all right.
I was a nerd with no friends. And so
Look at you now.
you two laughing at me, not much better.
Well, now we laugh with you with microphones.
Yay! Now my shame is all over the radio waves instead of in my room alone as an 8th grader. So
That's what we're all doing.
So I did. I had to force my way to the situation, but because I need to force my way to have a friend. Okay, so we got that out of the way. So
Okay.
anyway, we made plans. You made plans, and I joined them. Y'all made plans to meet this morning
Indeed.
to record an episode of Sinner Saint Sister, Liv's podcast. And
That is Allison's. Oh my God. People are going to go on and they're going to be like,
So
"Gosh,
disappointed."
No, they're going to be like, wow, she's way better than I remember on Forte Catholic.
half the people are disappointed. The other half, this isn't her.
No. Allison is superior to me in every way possible.
my-
Go ahead. Continue.
Stop
Yes, we
that
did this. We
right
did her
now.
amazing podcast. You need to be listening.
Allison did not deny it. Okay, so
He's so mean.
we made the plans to do the show back then. Then yesterday, 12 hours before all of this happened, maybe 14, okay? I'll give you 14. Hey, Allison, we're on the phone. Tomorrow, here's what you're doing your show first. Let's go get like drinks or a meal or coffee or something like that. And then we'll come over to the Red Sea Radio Studios where we record my show and we'll do the interview there. Cool. Everything's fantastic. We're going to meet at around noon for lunch. So right before noon, Allison texts me, we're ready. Very prompt. I'm proud of you. We talked last time you were on the air about how you didn't think I would be prompt, and then immediately following, you were late to my show.
I am usually a very punctual person, and if I'm not, it's anxiety-inducing.
Interesting.
Well, I experienced that. Okay, so here's what happened. 11:58 this morning. You say, we're ready. And I was like, okay, well, and you said, where do you want to meet? And I said, well, I mean, I eat anything. Like, where do y'all want to go eat? And you said, well, we're both fasting, but we'll watch you eat. And that is a very weird position to be put in.
Do you want to know the most shocking part of the story to me?
Sure.
Is that you have any problem being watched eating.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I
I
mean,
like that point. I'm on Team Allison right now.
Let's dig into this. So, why do you think I enjoy people watching me eat? That's a strange desire.
I mean, I can't believe that you would think of others at all. Like while you're.
Oh,
You go to
wow.
a restaurant and you sit and people watch you eat all the time. They
Yeah.
do it all the time. You don't know those people. At least you know us. I mean, you and I go way back.
People
So-
watch me eat?
Well, they're there.
They're there.
In
They're
your
going to be in your
presence.
presence. We're going to be enjoying a topic of conversation that
Yeah.
isn't this.
Yeah, really. What if we just finished a meal and we're sitting and you're the guy that was like, "Oh, I didn't know I could make the lunch," and you skate on in and we're like, "Oh, we already finished eating." You still order a burger and we'll sit there with you.
That's
Come on,
right.
this
Okay.
See, I
but
don't see
this
why
is what
my
people do.
plan had to dictate yours.
Yeah.
No.
He feels
our
cheated.
plan.
He feels-
Our plan was to get lunch together.
He needs a Snickers. This is a Snickers commercial. Is this the sponsor? Is that what we're doing right now? This is it. I just did it. I did my first Snickers commercial.
Brownie
Someone
commercial,
give you
Snickers
something
commercial.
to eat.
Oh my
He's just an angry elf. Man.
He's about to rip his shirt off and
I
turn
mean,
green.
yeah. Is this a Marvel thing? What is wrong with
Okay,
you?
so first of all, let me talk on my show. Okay.
Okay, fine.
So
He will silence you.
I have muted many a people.
Look at
Allison
the
is
power
getting close.
has gone to his head.
Okay, so I'm going to talk now. So the big problem for me, Allison, is that it's not that we didn't end up eating, which originally, my intention was just to hang out with you people. We got that. I went over and hung out and I yelled about this, and then we recorded another one of Liv's podcasts, Sinner Saint Sister. So why make plans to go
Taylor-
eat and then say we're not going to eat? We're just going to make you feel guilty about eating
gonna
while we're
be-
being holy and
I'm going to be
fasting.
straight up with you right now.
Okay.
So if you must know, and it sounds like you must, I have been using food in a way that is not holy. Thank you very much. Okay. And so it is not just a celebration or a comfort or a checkout. It's all of those things. And so as a pursuit of holiness, I have decided, because spring break was a little woohoo for me in that department. And it's, during Lent, I had completely fallen off my Lent wagon. And so I was with a friend and she was talking about a 7-day fast that she did. And it was just kind of this way to in an emergent way, get back on track. So I'm going to do at least 3 days. Now, when we made these plans, well, I guess we did kind of make the plans when I knew that this was happening. But but it made sense to go to lunch because we were getting together at a lunchtime. So I thought I can sit there. I'm going to have some tea. Nobody needs to, know. Or I can, whatever. Well, then Liv shows up at my door and we start talking, as girls do, about food issues. And we realized that we are similar creatures. And so then we kind of fist bumped and decided to do this thing together.
So what I hear is you corrupted Liv into going against me to be the...
But it was not my intention.
Right. And this is... You're still muted?
I'm still muted.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. What are you saying?
You pushed your cough button.
What do you mean?
You pushed your cough button in. You muted yourself.
Okay, sure, Taylor. Sure, that's what happened.
This gets...
So you're saying because I don't look like she does that I was just coerced into... how do you say that? Coerced?
Coerced.
Coerced?
We all had plans
Is
to
that what you're saying,
eat
Taylor?
lunch.
Because it's easy to look at her and say, well, obviously she's fasted her whole life.
No,
she's like cute.
no.
Okay.
And then I come in, you're like, have you fasted? Like since your amniotic
No.
fluid days?
You're
Like,
just
when
trying
was
to
the
get me
last
in
time
trouble.
you fasted? Was it in utero? Is that what you're saying?
All you two
Just trying to get back
ladies
to my
have
birth
done
weight, Taylor.
all day.
Trying to get back to the birth weight.
All you've done to the birth weight.
Listen,
Jeez
it's a
Louise.
goal. It's a goal.
Oh, have mercy.
All I've been trying to do today is be a good person, and you're trying to make me out to be something that I am not.
You're brave.
The entire point of this, bringing up this entire conversation, is all three of us
Have not eaten.
have not eaten. So
Call a spade a spade. We're hungry. We're hungry.
A little grumpy, y'all. A little grumpy.
So, okay, real conversation about, like, this is an example of this, right? All of us went into this situation with good intentions,
Yes.
right? Your intention to grow in holiness, perfect.
Yep.
Totally on board. Wish you wouldn't have made lunch plans, but totally on board.
Oh my gosh.
with the idea behind it. Liv, you came in. Your intention was what?
Be Paris Hilton. Yes.
Okay, that might be a little skewed.
A Kardashian. I'll even take Khloe.
Let me guess. Let me guess as to what your intention was. I wanted to have lunch with you just to get to know each other. But
Right.
before we came and did the show, I would imagine your original intention with me was, sure, that sounds fine, that
Sure.
sounds cool. And then Allison corrupted you and said, you need to be holier. So do this with me, okay?
Okay, listen, she and you do have a history. You'll know each other. I don't know you. So I wasn't going to be that guy and be like, hey, like, I'm going to come in and not eat. And then you'd be like, are you sure you haven't ever eaten? Because you look like you haven't skipped a meal ever.
You
and then
don't
I'm
know
like,
me.
that's
I'm
weird.
not that
You don't
mean.
know me. Like, I intermittent fast. And that's what I gave up for Lent.
You gave up intermittent fasting?
No, I gave up food for Lent, but I do allow myself to eat at 4 o'clock. I'm allowed to eat at 4 till 9.
So now you're seeing into our
This already
conversation.
happened.
I'm explaining what's going on with me.
And I said, hey, I'm
Liv's
doing the
like,
same.
hey, I'm doing a version of the same thing. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, listen, I have all these snacks that I have put out. I mean, I didn't expect anyone to take this on with me. And yet here we are.
And I was like, great, Taylor will eat them. And then Taylor decided to be the third girl for today.
Right.
And decided that, oh my gosh, it's his time. And he's like, man, I don't want to eat.
And he's going to gripe about it incessantly.
Jeez.
Okay, so
God, Taylor.
here's the deal. So I come into this, and like my intention was just to hang out. We did that. I'm happy with that. Fine. Okay. Here's where the awkwardness came in for me. Now it's like I put off having breakfast because I was going to have breakfast at 10:30, and then we were going to eat at noon together. It's just funny to me, right? Like
It is
I
funny.
come in and the situation is funny to me. But then it's like, I don't want to be the bad guy. I don't want to be the bad guy, the only person eating while people are fasting. Have you heard of the Our Father? Lead us not into temptation, right? I don't want to be you've never
We're
heard
strong.
that? I don't want to be the person leading people into temptation, right? It's this whole thing like being the husband when the wife is pregnant. Like, do you drink? Do you drink in front of her? Do you drink?
This is not AA. We're okay.
Yeah.
We can go into we still have to
Yeah.
be around people who eat.
Right.
You know, as someone
Right.
who has an eating disorder, for real, I say that all the time. Like, it's really difficult to be someone who has an eating disorder because it's not like, I mean, and I do have other like vices, but it's like, I have to face that 3 times a day with everyone all the time.
Like just abstaining
like
isn't
life is my bar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everywhere I go. So it definitely is an interesting vice to have. But you've got to face it, right? So no, you're not hurting me. And that's what I was trying to tell you. It's okay.
I will say that I would have no problem making y'all watch me eat if it was lunchtime and we said that we had plans and y'all were fasting.
Yeah, I would have manned up, but that's fine.
See, that's interesting. So here's my predicament, and it's
you didn't know what to do.
Yeah, so I come in and like I felt like, and like it wasn't a big deal. I was laughing about it, but I felt like I was danged if I do and danged if I don't. Right? If I eat, then it's like why I'm being the only jerk eating while I know that people are fasting. Right? If I don't eat, it's like now I'm refusing hospitality. Now, like, Allison was upset that I wasn't eating. It was like, what the heck's wrong with you?
Wasting my food.
Yes, sure.
Okay, I will go on Team Taylor for 1 second, and say, look, if we were giving up chocolate and you were like, hey, I'm Willy Wonka, come to my factory, hop in my river. Okay, you might be a little bit of a jerk. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, Taylor, like
hop
we couldn't
in my river.
We couldn't have done. Okay, I kind of love that. Like, yeah, okay, I hear you. All right, like if it was the one thing, you know what I'm saying, and like when it was the one whatever, and very specific. But I think because it's so broad,
right?
Fasting is so broad, and we have to do it over a long period of time. It's not just like the one thing we love most on the planet,
right?
Then I could go on your argument of, yes, if we were over here going, I'm not drinking water for Lent, that would be dumb. But I mean, unless you're doing it. Anyway. And you're just like, bathing yourself like in a, Dove commercial, pouring it on your body and being like whatever with the water all day. That's jerky. But if it's just something broad, like whatever, okay, Taylor,
that was
eat
a
a
very
meal.
specific situation. If you are pouring water over you in a Dove commercial, you're a jerk.
Yeah, if you have a hose and you're just spraying it in your mouth and you're, like spraying out, that's jerky. But if it's so broad, like that's on us.
Right.
We picked a broad thing. So we were doing something specific, and then you were a jerk and just decided to like do it in front of us. Okay, yeah, that's
I think
on
that's
you.
a really good point.
Then you're a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have this specific situation, right? But these situations happen a lot with good Catholic Christian people who all have good intentions, and yet they come into a situation and then they disagree on things, and like on things more important than am I going to eat lunch or not, right? Where we can sit here and laugh about it, but like. How do you guys deal with those situations? Because it happens in ministry, it happens in marriage, it happens in where it's like, I don't think you're like, there are a lot of people, like, I don't assume that y'all had bad intentions or whatever, right?
Right.
And like, so, but like in real situations, when it comes to real relational things, how do y'all deal with situations like that where it's like, we disagree on how this should go or how it went, but there was probably good intentions on both sides. Like, how do we deal with that?
Mm-hmm.
Like the judginess kind of a situation. Like, for instance, I think it's on both sides. And I'm going to speak, which I do not like speaking from this place, but I'm just going to, in the mommy culture. I mean, that alone makes me sick to my stomach. But let's be real. You will find on both sides of the fence, you'll find the ones who are like, look, I only sleep with my baby whilst breastfeeding, whilst, wrapped in hemp, whilst making squash banana peels. I don't know, whatever. Like, and then you have the one that's like, this all day, every day. I don't even see my kid. I don't even want to. And it's like, why do we have to keep placing, like what you're talking about? Why does, if you want to breastfeed in your bed with hemp all day, hemp wrap. Let me be a little more clear. Okay.
Good
just
catch.
Clearing it up. Okay. Why do I have to judge whether or not you're judging how I feel about that? And you shouldn't be judging me whether I'm doing that or not. Like, there's judgment on both sides of that story. Like in the Catholic world, if I veil for Mass, I personally don't. But as friends who do veil, I've had friends who then judge me because they veil and I don't. And then I've had friends who veil who judge me thinking I'm judging them for veiling. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we just lay out, like you were judging, like, well, I don't know. Do I eat? Do I not? Like, why? And I think Allison's point is, why is our decision, why does that reflect on you at all? We weren't, it had zero to do with you.
Yeah.
But we do that a lot as Catholics. Either way of that coin, we either judge or we assume people are judging. And it's like, why? Why does that have to do with anything? I don't know if that's kind of where you're going and how we handle that. How do we have those conversations of, can we just like, how about I give you the benefit of the doubt and I'm going to go ahead and veil and that's cool. And you don't need to judge me on that. And I'm not going to assume that you are. How about that? How about, I'm going to fast and that's okay, or whatever it is. And maybe that's why in the Bible it says, like, don't let everybody know what you're doing. You're supposed to be praying.
Right.
So maybe that's
you
about
can't,
judgment.
but I can talk about it on the radio.
So you're right. So Taylor will be quiet about it. We should not be letting the world know what we've chosen to give up. You know that thing that came out, the Yanni and Laurel thing?
Yeah.
And so the sound, you hear do you know what I'm talking about, Liv?
No.
Okay.
Yanni.
The sound
Laurel.
comes out. It's a
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm there. Yes,
yeah.
I'm with you.
And people either hear Yanni or Laurel. It's
Yes.
totally fascinating, right? But then Seth and I found this, like a measurer where you can slide the thing where you start to hear something different. But I don't know if Taylor, you might know more about sound. Like, is it frequency or what? But there's something.
One was a deeper frequency, one was a higher frequency.
But different people's ears pick up
It's as you
different
get older,
things.
right? It was an older thing.
The older you got, the less higher you
couldn't hear the
hear, so
high
you
one.
only could hear the low one.
It was
Okay.
ageism. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
kidding.
but I thought it was fascinating because in that one instance, you could look at a person and you could say, "Oh, I hear this," and then this person's like, "I hear something different," and then everyone was fine with it. That's just what my ears do. It's just different. So sameness makes me lose my mind. Like in general, sameness makes me absolutely crazy. So the Lord knit us together so intricately, so differently. Of course you have different leanings. Of course you feel compelled to veil or sleep with your baby in your bed or go out into the workforce or whatever. Of course. The Lord made you very intricately for this day that he put you here on this earth. So if we could just approach it with the same indifference that we do Yanni and Laurel, I think the world would be a better place.
We just saved the world. Basically, I totally with what you're saying. Equality does not equal sameness, and we want it to, and that's what the secular world keeps telling us. Like, men and women are equal, but guess what? That does not mean we are the same. And
Absolutely.
praise God, we're not the same.
Amen.
But that's where we now just apply that concept of, but we're equal. No, we're equal in dignity. We're equal in dignity as mothers, as fathers, as college students, as grandmas, whatever. And we're equal, but that does not mean we have to be the same. That does not mean because I'm doing this, I now therefore think you should do it, or you have to assume that I think that's what I think you should do. I have an interesting story which kind of goes long, so I might not say it, but if you want me to, I can. But it's about
Here I go.
I have a great story, but you don't get it.
No, but listen, it's that the world has made us afraid to be different because I, as a Catholic, get scared all the time that I'm going to be judged for being Catholic. For instance, this summer, I was in New York. My cousin is a Broadway composer. So when we are in New York, we spend a lot of time on Broadway in ways that most normal people don't, because that's her scene. Okay, that's like her people. So we're backstage, and this specific performance, it was a very A-list Hollywood crowd on like the stage. And so I'm back there with them, and I was going to go on Sirius XM the next morning on the Jen Fulweiler show, and I was excited about going to Sirius XM and all this stuff. And they kept asking me, "Oh, what are you going for?" And the last thing I wanted to do was to tell them, I'm going on the Catholic channel. You know why? Because I was terrified they were going to think I was judging them because the particular show and their particular lifestyles, if you catch my drift. And the last thing I wanted them was to assume, oh, here she is. Here's that little Catholic. And she just thinks all these things where it's like, they don't know me. And yeah, just because I don't believe certain things doesn't mean that I'm applying this to all the whatever. It's just fascinating. I see like what Allison is saying, that sameness has really crippled what we're talking about, and that people think we have to come at the same place. Except I think Taylor's asking, but how do we like have the conversation? How could we avoided the awkwardness of today?
And I think what the answer is this conversation. And I was thinking about it when I was driving over here because we drove separately. And I was like, I think just talking about it is what fixes it, right? Whether it's in your marriage or with your kids or in ministry or with, two random people on a podcast and a guest,
Or random.
So I think that's the answer. It's like just having the conversation. Because what happens is Allison and I know each other. Liv, we just met, but like I have no reason to not trust you or to think you have bad intentions. But what happens is like these situations happen and then the judgment and the assumptions start to build up. Like Allison and I have a long enough history. It's like, I don't think you purposely put me in an awkward situation.
Right.
You're just like, going along your merry day, doing your thing and trying to make people happy. Right. And like, I think having that foundation of trust and of like assuming the good is how it works.
Right.
But if we let these situations continue to build up, then you start assuming the bad.
Absolutely.
If you don't talk about it.
And when we judge one another, the world, like you're talking about your experience on Broadway, the world sees our sin over a savior. So when you say Catholic, no one's necessarily thinking of a merciful God, Jesus. They're thinking of judgment. So the world sees our sin over a savior, which is unfortunate. But I think that entering into taboo conversations just like this, because it's easier to not talk about it, right? It's easier to not invite you into my food issues. I mean, that's easier.
Absolutely.
But it's also an intimacy builder to do that and to explain, to give the full story or to just allow words to be spoken into this thing that's tender. So I think that we should opt for that every time.
I'm glad the three of us had this really intimate conversation with no one listening. This is
perfect.
This is just tremendous.
So bonding.
This is a safe space, you guys.
Safe space. No one else is here. We're in padded
triggers.
walls. So Liv, we did not do a good job of
Introing people are still like,
you
and
at
why
all.
is she here?
What is she doing
Who
here?
is she? I was literally walking by St. Mary's, and they were like, well, you look not busy. Why don't you hop on in?
So you don't have a podcast, do you? Come here.
Right, you're not important. Do you have a blog? No? Great.
So on our way out,
Yeah.
we need a bio, and then I want to promote an event that you two are doing together.
That's true.
Also,
we are.
with another friend of our show, Allie Hoffman. So,
Ooh, love
so
me some Allie.
who are you? How can people get connected with you? What do you do? And then let's talk about this event.
Okay, I am like everybody else. I'm a Catholic speaker, but I'm also a Catholic MC. But I would love to do something
Like a
that
rapper?
isn't Catholic. Yeah, right. MC Liv. I need to come up with I should. No, somebody told me that this weekend that I need to say I'm a master of ceremonies and not say I'm an MC. And I kind of want to put that out on the internet. And I'm like, I don't think anyone under the age of 65 cares what I call myself. You know what I mean?
I don't think anyone cares.
I don't think anybody calls. Let's be honest, Liv. Nobody cares at all. So I don't know. I host events and I speak, but I've been doing this work a really long time. First talk I gave, I was 13, and the first retreat I wrote, I was 18. This is the second conference I've actually written that Allison and I are going to do. But I work with Fullness of Truth, which is here in Texas, and then I do my own spiel. I have my own website, www.thelivharrison.com.
Please never,
The
ever
Liv
again
Harrison
put
dot
www dot in front of her.
Wait, Taylor.
HTTPS
The
dot
World
dot
Wide
That's
Web.
something that old people do?
World Wide Web.
Absolutely.
What
yeah,
are you supposed to say?
You just say thelivharrison.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's also my Instagram.
Don't say
Listen,
the, because then I would put THA. Live here.
The? Oh, God bless America.
Land
It depends
that
on
I
who
love.
I'm talking to. If I say the, then people tell me, you should say the. And then if I say the, people are like, you should
Those
say
people
the.
have never tried to plug in a website.
Oh, my gosh.
Here's
Okay,
what you
fine.
need to do.
The.
Here's what you want. If you want to say whatever you want,
You're killing me,
Here's what you need to
Smalls.
do is just go buy the domain name THA Liv Harrison and just have it point towards the other one.
No
and
one
you'll be fine.
assumes THA, Taylor. No one does that.
you.
No one.
They do when you say I'm MC Liv. That
Okay.
sounds like a rapper.
Yeah.
And a rapper would have THA Liv Harrison.
This is a really good plug. I'm excited. I really think I'm going to get a lot of work after this. This is going to be fantastic. Now I'm a really big deal. So thank you, Taylor, for sharing your space with me. So and then this conference I'm doing is called sheisgenius.com. The conference is called Genius, but the website is She is Genius. Allison's one of my speakers. So,
She's awesome.
Allie Hoffman is a speaker. There you go. It's going to be amazing. It's at Lost Pines. Come. You should bring your wife, and then you could just stay in the room and float the river. We don't care that you're there.
I'm not a trophy husband. I don't look good enough.
we're not gonna watch
Allison, what are
you.
you talking about at this conference?
We just kind of brainstormed that out this morning. I think
did.
we're going to talk a little bit about some identity and community. It's going to be good. It's going to be really great.
We want to dive in a little deeper than what most women conferences go into. So
Every women's conference says that, but good luck.
No, they don't. They really don't, because we go to them, and Allison and I are not interested in that.
No, my point is they say they will. Most of them don't.
Well, that's because we're not in charge.
There you go. So if
Different
you
sheriff
want
in
your
town.
life to change and go to the best thing ever, go to
Listen.
sheisgenius.com. Not www. Not https.//www. Go to thelivharrison.com. Go to She Is a Genius or just Genius?
She is genius.
She is Genius.
Yeah, the conference is genius. And then you can find me on the Jen Fulweiler show a lot. And if you're in Houston, you can listen to me on Mondays sometimes, like coming up. But I don't know when you're airing this, so it's fine.
I don't either.
Great.
Okay, but we're going to air it at some point.
Awesome.
And we're going to get out of here. This was over 2 segments long.
Really?
So I
I
don't
was
know what
afraid
we're
Make
going
your
to
segments longer.
do. Sure, this is your podcast.
And you
now.
can't be bothered to edit.
Okay, so friends, here's the book ending this. Allison is once again talking over the outro music. Thank you so much
I
to the both of you.
insist.
Y'all are awesome. Guys, I think I'm just going to wrap up the show now because this was 2 segments long. So thanks for listening to Forte Catholic. Everything about the show, speaking, music, all at FORTE Catholic.com. We'll be back next week. See ya! Well, wasn't that something? That was quite the conversation we had there. So some things that have stayed the same, and some things that have changed. I think that's going to be the theme as we look back on what we all just experienced again together from back in 2019. The first is the amount of years it took me to get the co-host trained to not speak over the intros and outros. I forgot about that whole saga. Like, that was a whole thing that was difficult for a while, especially when we were like live on the radio. We didn't want to say things, from between segments on live radio and all those sorts of things. Ironically enough, all the co-hosts have gotten so much better at this. I am very proud of them, except for the one who was a guest today. Liv still talks over me literally all the time. But Allison, we've got her trained well. She's come quite a long way since then. Liv has been like, it is wild that my pet peeve still now is Liv interrupting me literally every time I'm trying to make a point, and it's crazy to see that this started way back at the beginning. She interrupted me 1,000 times. I counted it, the exact number. She interrupted me 1,000 times. And there's like the blessing and the curse of Liv interrupting me. It's like the curse is 980 times. It's just annoying. The other 20, it's brilliantly hilarious. Like, we all laughed at so many moments of Liv interrupting. Let's see what I say. Is this the sponsorship? Like, because we were talking about the ad sponsors. Like, that was hilarious. And it made me laugh. But the other times, it just drove me crazy. What else happened that I'm still going through this? I'm kind of all over the place in my notes here, but what's new? Liv saying that she's not going to have a podcast. This was in March of 2019, and Liv now not only has 1 podcast, but 2. She was making fun of herself, essentially saying that, oh, she's not cool enough to have a podcast. I still have 1 podcast. Allison has 1 that hasn't released anything in such a long time, and now Liv has 2. So, sometimes those things that you say on podcasts come back to bite you. That's what sucks, that it's all recorded. The irony, we called it out in the episode, but Liv saying, quote, "What do I have to say?" is the funniest thing she's ever said, and she meant it. Like, the irony is it's just dripping in irony, because she literally never runs out of things to say. So I think she's come a long way in self-awareness on that in the last couple of years. She also said in this episode, I thought it was my turn when I called her out for interrupting. And that's because she always thinks it's her turn at every moment. Good news. This is the first one of the flashbacks that I have listened back to it, and thought that I did a good job. If you've listened to the flashbacks with Anthony and Allison and John, like, I listened back and they were so long ago that, like, I've come a long way as a podcast host. And I thought I was terrible in all 3 of those, and that they were great. And I talked about that in the commentary of those videos, those Forte Flashbacks. But this is the first one where I was like, this is fun. Like, I'm enjoying myself. This is a good time. Other than the fact that, putting these 2 women together, it was definitely 2 against 1 in this conversation. And it's just kind of funny now that they are both both co-hosts now, but it's also, I think, very apt to point out that I've never had them both on the show together again at the same time. Me saying that I was the funny chubby one, and I still am. Liv has lost so much weight. We've talked about that multiple times on the show since then. Over 2 years, she's lost so much weight, and I'm so proud of her. I couldn't get a word in edgewise on my own show, and then I invited her to do this all the time. Like, I don't understand what's wrong with me. Like, I guess at some point, I know that you guys want to be entertained, and I know that that is entertaining, but it drives me crazy. Now to shift from Liv a bit. Allison was here. She, a few months ago on the podcast, we talked about, is Taylor a narcissist? And Allison very kindly said that I'm not. But apparently 2 years ago, she thought that I was, because she said, I quote, "I can't believe you, Taylor, would think of others at all." So I guess either I've gotten to be a better person over the last 2 years, or she understands me a little bit better, maybe a little bit of both. Allison tries to make me feel bad for them changing plans, and then admits that she knew she wasn't going to eat when we planned to go to eat. It's just so funny that she literally talked herself out of her own argument. She was saying that she changed her plans after. She was like, I knew. But like always, we're just going to blame that whole situation we talked about on the show. We're going to blame it all on Liv. Because if Liv and I would have ate, it would have been fine. But Allison had to convince her not to eat. And then, again, 2-on-1. Now, there's been a running thing on the show, and I think it's partially a joke and partially not, where Liv thinks that I like Allison better than I like Liv. And I just want to point out that here, this is the origin of our friendship. And it was not I. It was Liv who kept pointing out that Allison was better than her. And Liv who was saying that we all thought that Allison was better than her. Me and Allison never said that. It was all her. We've been trying to tell her that. Allison, just a classic Allison quote, "I would have no problem making you watch me eat." That's just such a strange thing for this woman who is now a TikTok star and, famous, has a Hollywood actress, what was the word we use? Agent. Like, she's like fancy now. And I think it's just really funny that we can always say that Allison Sullivan said to me, "I would have no problem making you watch me eat." And then finishing it out, teaching the old people not to say www. I've still been doing that for them for many years. So they're learning just slowly. And also, final, just a housekeeping thing to point out. This was the first episode of Forte Flashbacks that we heard the music from Be the Symbol, the Catholic rapper that we use. All the music that we use is from him. He lets us use that music. So shout out to him. Because everybody apparently hated the previous music, which is funny because very few people know that the music in the early days was my music. And then everybody, without knowing that, said that they hated it and liked Brandon's music a lot better. So that is our Forte Flashback for today. A big thank you to Liv and Allison for being such great women in my life for the last few years, even though they drive me crazy. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this Forte Flashback. If you did, make sure you hit subscribe on the podcast or on YouTube. If you're on the podcast, leave a review. If you're on YouTube, comment what you think was the best and or worst part of this flashback. I'll be back soon. Bye!